Teams like Boston Celtic in the course of the week did qualify for the finals of this year's NBA after seeing out Miami Heat. What do you make of Miami Heat not qualifying for the finals this time around?
I think for me it's a very disappointing one. Miami Heat, not getting through this time around, in the final.
Well, Edge had 4-1, and that's in a game of 7. It was 4-1, and they had no chance of coming back. 4 for Celtic, and just one game in favor of Miami Heat.
Very disappointing performance for Miami Heat, in that series. Of course, you expected, despite how better or how good, the Boston Celtics have this season, and in the NBA, I expected, the Miami Heat, of course, to have gone far to make sure at least they challenge them in this one. But 4-1, that was a very disappointing one. There was no competition at all from the Miami Heat side. Yes, of course, they've been a struggling side this season. They even have to come in, through the play-in tournaments and down to the playoff, and then they are being beaten in this kind of margin. So disappointing for me. And as it stands, you even see players, like Bam Adebayo, of course, who has been one man that's been very, very instrumental for them, since the playoff, started. The likes of Nikola Jovic, another player for the Miami Heat side. These are players, of course, you won't see. Tero Hero is also another player, you won't see down there, in the finals this time. For me, it's a disappointing one that these big names, of course, are out for the competition. But kudos to the Boston Celtics. I will hope the likes of Jason Tatum, Jason Brownson as well, Jalen Brownson, will also live up to expectation going forward in the competition.
Talking about big names that won't be in the finals of this year's NBA, one of them is Adetokunbo Gianni. Gianni Adetokunbo, no doubt plays for Milwaukee Bucks. Milwaukee Bucks is sent packing, courtesy of a 4-2 win by Indiana Pacers. Indiana Pacers beat them in the game of 7 series 4-2, so there was no need for the 7th game. So Gianni Adetokunbo, big Nigerian player, big Greek player, that of course did win this championship 2 seasons ago, will not be in the finals for 2024.
Another disappointing performance as well for the Milwaukee Bucks side. We thought, of course, they were going to put up a huge challenge against the Indiana Pacers side. Another abysmal loss, 4-2, in that particular series. We thought the Milwaukee Bucks side were going to come all out for this one, but I understand what really happened to the Milwaukee Bucks. They have 2 of their key players. They were out of about 2 to 3 games.
Gianni has been out for 4 games now.
Yes, and it really affected the performance, all for the team. Damian Lillard is also one man that was also out, all for those games as well. And without those 2 players, sometimes you don't see the Miami Heat coming up with the very best, when it has to do with games like this. So for me, it's really a disappointing one that Gianni, of course, won't be, in the finals, in the semi-finals as it stands, and Damian Lillard and the rest of the players. It's going to be a disappointing one as it stands now for the fact that we're not going to see these big name players, in the next round of the competition.
Talking about big name players that will not be in the finals of this year's NBA, one of them is Joe Embiid from Cameroon, of course, and with American passport right now. He plays for Philadelphia 76ers, but 76ers have been sent packing by New York Knicks 4-2. It ended in a game of 7 out there. New York Knicks this time showing the capacity and taking out one-time champions of the NBA, Philadelphia 76ers. What do you think? A lot of Africans will miss, not just Americans, will miss Joe Embiid.
A lot of big name players will be missing this time around. And for me, Joe Embiid is one man everyone wanted to watch. And the way Indiana Pacers, they came into that series was very, very surprising. They started leading, from the first game, and were able, to pull through. We saw the Philadelphians, coming back, I think in the 3rd and the 4th game. But that was not still good enough for them. Joe Embiid was one man, of course, who actually put up a very impressive performance. In fact, in that last game, he put up about 39 points, of course, for himself, but still was not still good enough for him to help his team, out there. Joe Embiid, you talk about the likes of Tracy Massey and Toby Harris. These are players, of course, that were expected, to have, at least gone past this level, but a little bit of a disappointing performance, and this is where they are this supporting time. I think the fans will be missing Joe Embiid, in the next round or for the competition.
France will be missing Joe Embiid, no doubt about it, for the next round of the competition. We already know that LA Lakers have crashed out earlier from the competition, but it looks like it was only a matter of days before their brothers, LA Clippers, crashed out of the competition because Dallas Mavericks had a very good idea just a few hours ago where they beat them 114 to 101 point, meaning that Mavericks are into the finals, and the Clippers are returning back to Los Angeles after a 4-2 loss in the playoff series.
I think for me, another disappointing one from the
teams from Los Angeles.
Yeah, from Los Angeles, I expected, of course, the Clippers probably to put up a challenge and see how they can drag the game, to the very end. But was the Mavericks, of course, were just too good on that on the day, against them in that particular one. The likes of Paul George, the likes of James Harden, didn't live up to expectation, of course, for the Clippers side. And we saw them, being as class, at this point in time. And for me, it's a huge loss, from the teams from the Los Angeles, because the Lakers not there, the Clippers also not there. I think for me, the fans, of course, will be very worried taking a look at the performance, from these teams, at this point in time. Let's just see what next season hold for them. We look forward to see if they'll be able to at least put up another impressive performance for them. Like what we're getting is the fact that Lakers, they've sacked, their head coach.
Rick Graham is gone after 2 seasons with the team.
Yeah, and they are seeing how to put the team together. So we hope that the team, from the Los Angeles, of course, will actually do better, come next season.
Well, talking about the casualty of the playoff, it's the coach of LA, of course, Clippers. They're definitely out of it now, and talking about Ham, he's gone. Let's hope that there'll be a new lease of life out there. But you were talking about
I think it's going to be a very, very tight one, in that particular last game. And I think for me, the best team, of course, on that very day will be the winner of that particular series. But let's just see, anything can happen at this moment.
Anything can happen. You want to think anything can happen too in the encounter between Denver Nuggets and Minnesota Timberwolves?
Of course, anything can happen. Denver Nuggets, they've been very fantastic right from the regular season. They were paired against the Lakers, in the playoff, and they smashed them, very, very, easy down there. And I think for me, I think they have what it takes.
That was the very first game in the finals.
For me, I think they have what it takes, to, outclass the Timberwolves. If you take a look at the way they play, they look very optimistic. They play like a team. And for the Minnesota Timberwolves, I think they also have what it takes. But when you take a look at the momentum from the Denver Nuggets side, of course, you definitely give it up to them. Looking at the fact that, of course, they've been first defending champion in series.
And I hope whoever is following that game will know that, yes, it's going to be competitive from start to finish. One game, and it decides who gets into the final. Kisley, we don't want to stick your neck as to who gets into the finals after out of the 7th series. 6-3-3. The first game we'll see go 3-3 at this year's playoff.
I think it's gonna be a tight one at this point in time, to call. We just have to.
Donovan Mitchell, one man that has done so well for Cavaliers.
Who gets it, at the end of the day.
Who gets it at the end of the day will be Cleveland Cavaliers. Well, we keep our fingers crossed, but my heart definitely our soul is with Cavaliers on this one. When you put as many as 50 points in one game, a lot of people want to see you next in the competition. That's where we'll take a break for this weekend. Definitely we will be back after this short, very, very short break, where we'll look at the world release. It's taking place in the Bahamas. It is burning on the track there. Will Team Nigeria see more team athletes qualify for the Olympic Games aftermath of this relay? When we come back from the break, we'll tell you. Then, of course, go across to fall of football, where Rangers International, one of the oldest names in Nigerian football, has crashed out from the President's Federations Cup ongoing here in Nigeria. Then across in Europe, German teams are beginning to show why they are tough. Yes, Borussia Dortmund of Germany and Bayern Munich have one leg into the finals of this year's UEFA Champions League. Will that leg drag the second leg? We'll let you know, because they have a lot from the German teams in this year's European football. When we return from a break, you serve you all of the details here on Atlantic Television Network.
Oh, what a point to end it on. So now this is when they're at their best. That's when they're 12 years for this. So drink it in. Still goes through on New Zealand. What he loves to be immortality as an athlete. 19.79. It's a goal. It's a
along the lines, across the ocean, to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara. We bring on sport news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, social.
Welcome back. It's Sports Extraordinary Weekend edition here on Atlantic Television Network. I have Kingsley Emmanuel with me, and together we'll bring you up to speed with the latest happening around the world of sports this weekend. We told you that the full council meeting of the Sports Writers Association of Nigeria came to an end in the ancient city of Kano with far-reaching decisions taken. Prominent among them was the fact that SWAN will continue to partner with the Federal Ministry of Sports in sports development here in Nigeria, especially with the National Sports Festival coming up in Ogun State as a primary focus. Beyond that, area members of the association have been sent to the cooler with Bonin Young and 5 others, all relieved of their appointment or suspended indefinitely. We talked about basketball this weekend. The Sahara Conference is hitting up Africa. It is taking place in Dakar, Senegal. After matches, there were conferences that were taking place in South Africa, the Kalahari Conference, the Nile Conference in Egypt. Now it is the turn of Dakar, Senegal with the Sahara Conference. Rivers Hoopers is in that conference with the defending champion US Monastir with home side AS Douanes and of course APR of Rwanda. It promises to be very, very hot at the Sahara Conference. And talking about the biggest news coming from the world of basketball this weekend is the sack of the LA Lakers coach, Hiram, who of course did not qualify his team for the finals of this year after the playoff out there. And he is the first managerial casualty at the playoff stage of the NBA for 2024. So a lot has happened this weekend, especially in basketball. A lot more, of course, in athletics as well. In focus is the Paris Olympic Games that is just weeks away. Teams are beginning to qualify, and one that will bring qualification to the Olympics is the World Relays taking place this weekend in the Bahamas. Kingsley, Team Nigeria is part of it, and there will be tickets for 5 relay events at the Paris Olympic Games. Can Team Nigeria grab some of these tickets, if not all of the tickets?
I think it promises to be an exciting one. We're going to see about 893 athletes, from 54 countries in this particular one, and Team Nigeria, of course, will be one of them. As it's done. I think for me, Team Nigeria has what it takes to be able to at least to pick, a ticket, from this particular one. We'll do that. Toby Amusan, of course, will be in this one. Of course, she's been instrumental for Nigeria in the 4x100 meters. We saw her at the All-African Games. We saw her at the Commonwealth Games as well, even at the World Africa.
No reasons given why Favour Shea has not been part of the team. No doubt he's the fastest man from Nigeria this season, but he's been omitted. And like we said there, we're looking forward to official explanation why he's not there. But a lot of insinuations. That is not what we want to follow up here. Nigeria, besides Kenya, has the second highest ranking in athletics this year with 20 points as well. This should culminate in the number of athletes from Nigeria going to the Olympic Games.
Yes, definitely. And I think we saw that rise because of the performance we saw at the All-African Games in Ghana, where Team Nigeria, of course, put up a very impressive performance. I think they amassed about 5 gold medals in that particular tournament, and that's why we saw that leap in the ranking for Team Nigeria. For me, it's a good one. We started seeing their resuscitation when it has to do with athletics in Nigeria, and we hope that the Athletic Federation of Nigeria will not relent. They should continue to churn out talents and see how they can breed even the ones on ground and give them the best of preparation whenever they're going for tournaments, the best of welfare at this point in time, because sometimes what makes these athletes slack is as a result of not the fact that they're not being taken care of, their welfare are not properly taken care of and all of that. But from what we've seen so far, I think they will continue, of course, to maintain this momentum going forward. The Paris Olympic is the big picture at this point in time. If they can get themselves prepared and go down there and be able to put up a very impressive performance than what happened last time in Tokyo, I think, of course, we'll start seeing a very huge change in athletics down here in Nigeria. 5
available tickets at the World Relays taking place in Bahamas this weekend. We hope the Team Nigeria will take advantage of it, especially Toby Amusu leading the Team Nigeria at the World Athletics Championship with 4x100 meters relay events as well. We've seen a lot of Nigerians there, but we'll continue to mourn the absence of the fastest amongst them all, Favour Ashe from the events ongoing in Noso. Think of, but again, I'm more worried about the absence of Ange Jeboa from Tunisia, Africa's best female tennis player. From the very crucial stages of this competition, she crashed out, I think, at the quarterfinal stage or so, and it doesn't look too good. We saw her in the final of 3 Grand Slam last year. One will expect that she will continue to dig deep, but it looks like crashing out early at the Madrid Open could be a sign that she is beginning to have, do I say, the effect of losing out on the 3 Grand Slams last year.
It's caused for a huge worry, you know, for Ange Jeboa, the way her career is actually panning out at this point in time. Inconsistency, you know, has been her next name, because when it matters most, you don't see her living up to expectation in a tournament like this, where she could actually amass the points and see how to compete favorably. You know, she drops in terms of performance, and I think for me, it's not a very good one at this point in time for Ange Jeboa. It really calls for worry, you know, when you take a look at how she's been able to perform, you know, as it is. And if she continues like this, you know, she might not go very far. When you take a look at the competition in WTA at this point in time, we have a certain Elena Rybakina who is there, you know, competing. Arina Sabalenka, Iga Swiatek, Coco Gauff is also not left out of the picture. We saw a certain Dana Collins who just came back, and she has been able to win a back-to-back title this year. And you see that the competition in WTA this time around, of course, we didn't see him in this one. It's been a really poor start for Djokovic this season. The man has not gotten it right so far this season, and I think for me, so many has actually attributed it to the fact that he actually splitted with the coach. But even before he splitted with the coach, he wasn't even doing well. So I think Djokovic just have to find his mojo back and see how he can bounce back, you know, strongly. But for the finals, Felix Auger-Aliassime against Rublev, it promises to be an exciting one to watch out for, and we look forward, of course, to see who gets it this weekend.
Let's go to football now because of time. And talking about football, the President's Federation Cup is ongoing here in Nigeria, and top teams have merged into the round of 32. But one team that will not be in that round of 32 is one of the most recognizable football names here in Nigeria, Rangers International of Enugu. They were beaten via penalties by a relatively, want to say, unknown side. Yes, that's what the FA Cup is all about?
Yeah, that's what, of course, the FA Cup is all about. But not really on unknown side. They were beaten by Kano Pillars. Yes, you know, by penalties. Of course, Kano Pillars, they have that strong pedigree when it has to do with the competition. So, from what we're saying, I think Rangers...
when you talk about, no, I'm looking at the season. Rangers, Kano Pillars is not very strong. Rangers International leading the Premier League table. Kano Pillars at the stage had to struggle to avoid relegation. And they've not had a very good season in the last 2 or 3 football season here in Nigeria. And so one would have expected Rangers leading the Premier League table.
And how organized they are this season, I think they have what it takes, of course, to challenge for the title.
Well, now let's get to the big one, and is the UEFA Champions League. Talking about UEFA Champions League, Kingsley, it looks like German teams are continuing to dominate. In the course of the week, looking at the performance sport of UEFA, now German teams will have to produce 5 teams in the next season's Champions League. In the German league, the Bundesliga will produce 5 teams because of the performances of Borussia Dortmund and Bayern Munich in this year's UEFA Champions League. 2 of them are into the semi-final stage of the competition, and so it's already producing results for them. 5 teams. They have a possibility of producing a 6th team next year from the Bundesliga in the UEFA Champions League if a German side wins the UEFA Champions League for this season. And right now, from the first leg result, we've seen some interesting results aftermath I've seen in the course of the week. Borussia Dortmund, you know, showing yes that they can actually get better than their opponent. They beat Paris Saint-Germain by 1-0. Bearing the first leg, they are 1 leg into the final. Then we saw Bayern Munich, you know, being forced to a 2-2 draw by Real Madrid. So German teams in this year's UEFA Champions League needs to be given thumbs up.
Yeah, not only Bayern Munich, you know, and Borussia Dortmund, Bayer Leverkusen also left out the picture.
In the Europa
League as well.
They've gone 47 matches unbeaten in the course of the season.
Unbeaten as well. So for me, I think it's been a fantastic performance, you know, for the German team in European competition. Good one for them. This time around, they came all out and they were able to challenge themselves, and this is where, you know, they are. And there's a very huge possibility that one of these teams, you know, have what it takes, you know, to be able to win. Dortmund has what it takes, you know, to win the Champions League. Of course, they're already leading Paris Saint-Germain. Bayern Munich can still go to the Santiago Bernabeu and also do the need. Champions League, as it is. So for me, it's been an impressive ride from the teams, from the German teams, and I will hope that maybe at the end of the day, one of these teams, of course, will be able to lay their hands maybe on the UEFA Champions League or the Europa League.
Well, tough performances this season 2023-2024 by German teams, and it has paid off. Right now, they have one leg in the final with Borussia Dortmund. Bayern Munich as well could, if they survive in Madrid, be in the final as well. But no matter what happens, if a German team wins, definitely they will have 6 teams play in UEFA Champions League next season. That will be unprecedented. We've never seen that number. While German teams are doing so well in the UEFA Championship coefficient for 2024 football season, the English seem to have slided so badly. No English side were able to get to, the semi-final stage of the UEFA Champions League, and that should as well affect their coefficient in UEFA.
Yeah, that definitely has actually affected their coefficient in UEFA. No matter what Aston Villa will be able to do in the next encounter against Olympiacos, the first game ended 4-2, and no matter what they'll be able to do, I don't think Olympiacos, of course, will let them, pass, with ease. As it stands now, it has actually caught, the chance of the English team, having, 5 representatives in European competition, come next season. Manchester City, of course, couldn't get to the semi-final. Arsenal couldn't get to the semi-final as well. They were hoping on, Aston Villa, to get to the semi-final, but the result we saw this week against Olympiacos was nothing to write home about. I don't think Aston Villa can actually overturn that result. 4-2, it ended in that particular encounter. Was another disappointing one as well for Liverpool in the Europa Cup, where they were also being hosted out as well. So it's been a very, very disappointing season for the English teams when it has to do with the European competition. We look forward to see if they can actually bounce back strongly and fight for their own.
They have to bounce back. Talk about English teams, see how they can get back at their top level position in this year's UEFA Champions League. They are completely out and affecting their coefficient as well out there. Let's continue to look at performances of European teams. A lot of Nigerians follow the Premiership in England. Kingsley, yes, it is now boiling down to Manchester City and Arsenal and the Premiership League title. We know that in Italy, Inter Milan has already won. In Germany, Bayern Leverkusen has already won. In Spain, Real Madrid looks like one game to eat, and they will be done and dusted.
Ligue 1 has been won as well.
Ligue 1 has been won by Paris Saint-Germain as well. So this is a season where, with games left to play, a lot of teams has won. We know that several weeks ago, Bayern Leverkusen was the very first to winning, and that was their first in nearly 200 years in the top level competition. But let's look at players that have made it happen. In all of these, one man seemed to stand very tall, Harry Kane. He scored nearly 45 goals this season. No other player, in all of English or European football has scored as many as 45 goals, 43 goals scored by Harry Kane.
A very impressive record for Harry Kane. His 4th season in the German Bundesliga. Of course, he's been able to churn out this huge number of goals. And for me, of course, you definitely give it up to him. So sad that after this huge number of goals, he was unable to win the league with Bayern Munich down there in the German Bundesliga. So sad that it is happening at this moment where Bayer Leverkusen under Xabi Alonso are firing left, right, center, at this point in time. But the UEFA Champions League is there. They've actually lost the DFB Pokal Cup as well. They won't be challenging for that as well. But the UEFA Champions League is what Harry Kane is hoping on at this point in time. This is 4th season in Bayern Munich, and he's looking forward to see if he can win something for Kylian. From what we saw down there at the Signal Iduna Park in Germany, they didn't actually put up a very impressive performance. A lot of chances.
He's going back to the
Paris,
right?
Yeah. And from what it is though they will get more advantage down there in Paris against Dortmund. Well, I think for me, Dortmund want to defend their own. They want to go all out and see what happens. We saw them in the group stage of the Champions League. Dortmund were able to still hold their own as well. So for me, I think Dortmund, they've actually gotten familiar with Paris Saint-Germain already. So going down to Paris, I don't think there's any fear factor for them. I think the Paris guys will be coming all out, to fight. But I still think, Dortmund see how much it takes, to stop them. But let's see if Kylian for the World Cup.
Our sports extraordinaire for this weekend, Finidi George, head coach of the Super Eagles of Nigeria. After spending 20 months as assistant to the head coach, he is now taking the saddle, and we wish him the very best luck as we prosecute our next encounter. We are right now placed third in our group. Our next match comes out at the Gospel Akpabio Stadium in just about 4 weeks or so from now, and it will be against South Africa. We need to win. It's a must-win for Nigeria to move to at least the next stage on the ladder, heading towards going to the World Cup in 2026. So we say congratulations and welcome to Coach Finidi George, head coach of the Super Eagles of Nigeria. And that will be it for this edition of Sports Extraordinary here on Atlantic Television Network. Definitely next weekend we'll come with yet another bomber package of Sports Extraordinary. Until then, remember, peace and unity are clearly pathways to progress. Always enjoy here on Atlantic Television Network.
From the line across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring on sport news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, from the lines across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains. Through the Sahara, we bring on-spot news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economy, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today, only on ATN.